Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about bartering. Basically, in a shit hits the fan kind of world, well, you got to realize that right now we're dependent on a lot of things from the outside. It's very few people who actually produce everything that they need, all their supplies, like even certain things like coffee or are tough to come by. And, I think all of us, a lot of people have that kind of off-grid or super self-sufficient mindset in the prepper world where we try and do, as much as we can for ourselves. And we find a way to solve all our needs, and a lot of people have certain teas that they make that to replace coffee kind of thing and different things that you do to, make your world work. Even as simple as solar panels or, you find a way to filter your water or, different things. We all kind of take all the steps, and honestly, some of us are better at certain things than others. And we have skills that we really excel in. You might be the gunsmith guy or the whatever. But at some point, even if it's just for niceties, being able to trade and get outside stuff. I mean, honestly, that's how an economy works, is somebody's able to create something cool that you can't. So you want to have it and you find a way to get it. And in a shit hits the fan world, most of those scenarios, the full faith and credit of the United States government or whatever government in the country you're living in right now might not be there to back it up. So you find another way to get what you want. And that's really what bartering's all about and why it, becomes a thing. It's trading the stuff that you can produce or have and trading it off for things that, you need and can't get or just desire, So there's like, what type of things would you maybe stockpile that you could have, on hand, Kevin, that might be, good where you can have a lot now. Maybe you buy a lot of it really cheap and then are able to trade it to get what you want. I mean, I know you probably have a stockpile of Miller Lite. Is that right? I don't know.
Now you can't stock up on beer because beer goes bad. But you can definitely stock up on liquor. Tennessee whiskey goes a long way with a lot of people.
Now,
it can you buy? Expensive, that's right.
Can you buy cheap like gut rot alcohol? Is that like a thing where?
Yeah, when people
it'll
are
still have value. Is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. You can get cheap whiskey that tastes like shit and will give you a hangover from having a sip of it, but people still want it when there's nothing else around.
Maybe some radiator fluid out of the cars, right? You work out some wine, some grape juice and radiator
some
fluid.
Antifreeze and yeah, perfect. Might make you go blind, but
I learned about that from The Simpsons, I think. So
yeah. I don't know. Now another thing that right now is valuable is ammo. But if you didn't stock up on it before, it's really
too
worth
late now.
Yeah,
that window closed.
Too much for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the things that we think about trading when we're talking about trading, we talk about like comfort products like tobacco and alcohol and even drugs. People talk about mm-hmm. that sort of stuff. A lot of that sort of stuff is perishable, and one of the best things that you can trade is your skill set.
Well, and bars of soap.
And bars of soap. Yeah.
Okay.
And there are quite a few things though that will last quite a while, that are good for that sort of stuff. Soap, rubbing alcohol, antiseptics, things like that. They go a long way. Medicine that has a long shelf life. Obviously not all of it does.
Mm-hmm. Usually your hard pills work a lot better, long term, as opposed to, I know antibiotics might be a good one, that you might really have high value where you can get it for a pretty reasonable price right now. You guys in the prepper world all know about like fish antibiotics and all that. Anyway, do some research on the internet if that's something you don't know about, but there's, a lot of stuff there. Like what else? Obviously, I mean, coins, people like that kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, if there's any kind of established government or people coming in where they're dealing with established governments, then yeah, gold and silver will be worth a lot. But I know when I'm hungry or worried about security, having coins isn't really my thing. But, right. To each his own, right? And that's I do have, a decent amount of silver,
it's worth having. But
I wouldn't put my heavy stocks into, all my preps are, look, I have all this silver. Well, you can't eat it. You can't shoot it. Somebody's just going to come take it from you. And
and it's, and it's something that is a sound investment. It's going to beat inflation between now and then. But, the truth is, like you said, you can't eat silver. You can't eat gold. So they're good to have, but I wouldn't put all my investment, into that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very tradable thing, gold and silver. In the sense that you can divide it up in the weight, and small amounts for this or bigger amounts for that. You don't have to just do one gold coin for this, or
That's why I don't even mention gold usually in my discussions, because it's like, good luck,
Mm-hmm.
It's so, so much value to a gold coin. One of the prepper books I had was based on like a economic collapse, and the guy had like 20 or 30 1-ounce gold coins,
and
he ended up being able to like buy a cabin in the woods from somebody with gold, because the dollar had kind of, inflation had robbed it so bad that something real, was able to, secure him some property. I mean, definitely something like that is possible, but I feel like, it's a short window that coins are going to be the thing.
Right.
People always paint the end of the world as a happy romantic time where, oh God, I don't have to go to work. I can just get out and be hunting, fishing, and loving every day, and I'm not sure that's quite how it's going to play out. The world's hard, and we don't have a lot of the skills that people used to have. And, the more you get into that self-sufficient lifestyle, the more it's going to be. But what kind of skills could we develop that we could really make a successful barter system out of? I was actually, one of the big ones that's been coming up in my mind is raising rabbits. I'm kind of excited about rabbits. They reproduce super quick, and turns out you get a free rabbit skin out of every one you do, and rabbit feet. Those rabbit feet, for good luck, are just going to be super big in the apocalypse. I mean, people will be like, ham sandwich, little rabbit foot on a keychain. You know which one they're going to want.
It's worth it.
Because that luck, you might just find a ham sandwich on the ground on your way out of the parking lot. It's like, look,
you might stumble upon a field of ham sandwiches just growing out there in the woods,
Exactly.
Just because you had that lucky rabbit's foot.
But I mean, that's what I was thinking. So, like, you get all these rabbit furs, and you could make like a bunny suit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some floppy ears up top or whatever.
Yep. I like
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
but
been looking.
I think
Yeah.
meat would be is going to be a very valuable commodity. You know, it's not hard to grow some vegetables in your backyard, but
Hang
meat
on.
is not as easy to come by,
Yeah.
especially when especially when everybody and their brother is out hunting for everything they can find. The grocery store isn't open. And everybody that's got a rifle or a bow is out there killing everything they see moving. After about 6 months or so, it's going to be real hard to find anything out there.
And what I've been reading, I mean, pound for pound now, honestly, from what I've been reading, unless you have a really good market, I think that maybe if you had like a food cooperative or something like that, you were doing rabbit meat might be a profitable business right now. I'm in a couple of like rabbit groups because I've been checking it out. And a lot of people are like, you end up kind of spending as much money, at least for that first half of, your rabbit raising career, you're shelling out more money than you're making. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of these things. But when meat and stuff becomes harder to come by, then you're king of the world. And
Right.
it's just there's a lot of infrastructure, and that's one of the things. A lot of people look for kind of businesses where they can spend the money now and then have something that's going to keep paying off later. And I think rabbits could be that.
Right.
I mean, I look at like a sawmill. How cool would it be that, but it's, at least $3,500 right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then I can keep turning that into money. But to recoup that $3,500 is a pretty long process.
Right.
And so it's something to, be aware of. I mean, again, a sawmill wouldn't be a bad, but again, if you don't have fuel coming in and that kind of stuff, then that's not really going to pay off.
Yeah.
In today's world, like, welding skills, fabrication, that kind of stuff is cool for bartering. But, if you don't have electricity or a big, diesel tank that you can carry around with you, those skills are
Mm-hmm.
kind of going to go away. Um, I don't know, medicinal herbs. Some people really spend time and understand that kind of thing. And that's something you could really get into where you start growing the plants and stuff that you need, maybe even set up a greenhouse if your climate isn't conducive with it, where you can really grow a lot of the things that, are going to be able to sustain and understand what herbs are good for what would be a super valuable skill.
Mm-hmm.
Leather tooling, clothes making, again, those rabbit skins, being able to make bunny suits for everybody so everyone can look festive
Mm-hmm.
at Easter. I mean, that's fun for everyone. I don't know. I just
That's
want
right.
bunny mittens. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
the trapper guys with the big, fur mittens. It's a
Mm-hmm.
dream of mine. We all have dreams. Um, Carving, woodworking. The reason I actually saw I watched one of those videos on YouTube of one of the bushcraft people making bowls and things like that can really, be a skill. Utensils and stuff. Now, most people honestly are going to end up, you feel like if society, collapses and 90% of the people die off and we're just roving gangs of killers and whatever, I imagine you're going to be able to find utensils and silverware everywhere because there's all these
Mm-hmm.
houses that,
Right.
I don't feel like you're going to really have to be the bushcraft guy, but I feel like there are things that could be made that really could be useful and, worked into something. Same thing for like blacksmithing, making the specialized things that are going to be useful after, when you can't get any more and when you need other skills. There's things that blacksmithing, can really offer as far as like the outdoor cooking and setting up all your, utensils like that for that kind of stuff. People don't have the stuff to cook, over a fire and whatever in general. So that might really be a skill that, you could kind of develop and work on. Being an excellent hunter is definitely going to be a skill. Because like you said, things are going to get a little tougher and you're going to have to go a little further and a little to find meat. Again, I don't know how long that skill would last, because I feel like people are going to be really, hitting it hard. But I feel like a lot of people would die before they could catch rabbits and things like that. Honestly, I think they'll just starve to death because people are pretty lousy at taking care of themselves.
Well, I mean, especially if you live in a city, there's not going to be a whole lot of hunting and going on in Manhattan. There's a lot of people that live in places that it's just not even a
unless you're the rat hunter.
The rat hunter. There you go.
Now, maybe if you learn how to cook rats, I mean, if you live in the city, maybe that's the skill you need to develop. Hey, I can catch rats. Idea. I have like 50 rat traps, and I don't. I'm just saying, if I was that guy, I would have 50 rat traps, and I would make a big pot in Central Park, and just bring me your gold coins. Just keep them coming. And rat soup for you. Yeah, we'll call it rat.
Now, I don't know about rats. I don't know. I don't know about rats, but I know like an average mouse only has about 14 calories.
Mouse, that's amateur hour. So, I'm talking about possum-sized rats that we had in New York City.
The big New York City rats?
The big New York City rats. The ones where they growl and hiss at you and you're like, oh, shit.
It's bigger than your dog.
Yes.
Yep. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is that you never want to be trading out of desperation. That's how you make a bad deal.
Yeah.
So having a stock, having an inventory ahead of time is a great idea to have. Great idea. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your preps. You're stocking up on stuff. Buying that extra bit of soap or buying that a couple extra bottles of liquor. That's not a bad idea to just have sitting down there on a shelf.
I keep telling my wife, if we have a room with like 100 bottles of Southern Comfort in it, that wouldn't be wrong.
It doesn't go bad, man. It's good forever.
And she's like, you'll just drink it all.
Well, she knows you because that's what I do. What I mean? I can't keep liquor in this house without it disappearing. That's why I get that rock gut whiskey, because I'm not actually going to drink that. No matter how desperate I am, there's some stuff I'm not going to do.
You have standards, huh? All right. Reloading is a big thing with ammo. I imagine there'll be lots of brass left over at the end of the world, and hey, putting it together. But like, as you know now, like, you can't find primers to save your life. And so that's something, you need to think about. And actually, you might want to look into like casting, making your own bullets as well. And I don't mean putting them together. I mean, actually making the lead, people were talking about even just, the lead from car batteries and melting things down if things, got bad enough. Something to look at. Another thing is meat processing, being a butcher and knowing how to utilize and get a lot of, cuts out of, and look into the more exotic things like squirrels and rabbits and really understand, how to, process them. I guess it's not honestly that complicated doing the little ones.
But I mean,
if you know how to butcher a deer.
Not experienced.
Right. If you know how to butcher
you're not
a
experienced,
deer,
you can lose 20% of the meat on any given animal.
Point. Yes.
And that's, that is definitely a skill that's valuable.
Now, this one's a little touchy area, making alcohol or making vinegar. That's something, you might want to look into. Splitting wood. Again, labor things that are just labor and not really a skill, maybe, might not be as valuable. But I also feel like people are willing to trade things to avoid work. Also, sharpening tools, things like that is a huge skill. And having the files and the stones and the things to, keep things running properly is definitely something,
Yeah, I
more
mean,
long term. Like, go ahead.
In a society that's that's going downhill, capitalism is the go-to for any sort of trade or commerce. That's just the natural way that things function. And having capital, having things that you can use, having tools, having the sledgehammer and the wedge for splitting wood. That's a lot
Right.
handier than trying to do it over and over again with an axe and just trying to hit it in the same spot. There's a big difference when you have the proper tools to do something.
Although I did see on
advantage
Little
over
House
things like
in
that.
the Prairie, the wife was pretty agile with the
She was
axe
pretty
and
handy
just,
with it.
yeah, just knocking out the logs like nothing. So, I'm just saying. Um, Tactical training and security.
Mm-hmm.
Going in and laying out a community, going from community to community. Nobody's going to turn you away if you can set them up and really, organize a system where you can, really set up a community to defend itself. That's a valuable skill.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I've been looking into, and even kind of shelter building, but more fortifying things, I think is something
Mm-hmm.
that may be a skill. Something I've been looking into a lot is gunsmithing. And, that's something I do now and deal with a lot. And I feel like really expanding that. You could definitely look into getting an FFL and being a gun dealer now. I know one of the things they have, it's pretty, as anything with the ATF, it's pretty complicated and intricate, and you really need to stare at it and spend time to understand what's involved. But getting an FFL, you could be I want to say type 7 is a gun manufacturer. This is something that would cost you like $500 a year to be a manufacturer, but that means that you can put your stamp on something and sell it out. Plus, anytime you're kind of putting stuff together, that's a manufacturer. There's gray area because you can do gunsmithing and you can do it. Just, how everything with the ATF is, where it's like, well, yeah, you could do this, but then that's not really what we mean. Today, I feel like that's wrong. You just made a gun right there.
Mm-hmm.
When you modify something. So anyway, moving right along, they have, if you had a gun manufacturer, which is a type 7, then you get a SOT, which is an additional part of it. SOT basically means you deal with tax stamps. Anything with a tax stamp would be like suppressors, short barrel rifles, or let me say it, machine guns. All right.
Ooh.
Now here's where it gets cool. If you're a manufacturer, type 7, $500 a year, then, or is it? Yeah, I think it's $500 a year. Then a type 2, which is really what you think of when you hear a class 3 license. A class, I meant to say class 2. A class 2 is actually when you're a manufacturer and you have the SOT along with it, which means that you can manufacture suppressors and, wait for it, manufacture machine guns. Turns out you can make, test, and have as many machine guns as you want because you're making samples that you could potentially sell to law enforcement or the military. Now, as long as you keep paying your fee, you can be the guy who has all those. When you get rid of your license and stop paying, then you end up where you have to sell it to another FFL or, sell them to customers that can legally buy machine guns. But I'm just saying a lot of fun could be had. And having all these equipment.
That's the same license that you need to buy dynamite, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. But it sounds like something I'd be interested in. So anyway, having all these tools and skills on hand, and it turns out your business your inventory might all of a sudden quadruple in value at the end of the world might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Plus, the fact that you're supplying military and law enforcement maybe would shield you a little bit from when the government comes and says private citizens can't have all these things. You're not kind of the private citizen because you're the dealer in tax stamp items. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it would all play out. I know that the guy at the gun store can have the 30-round magazine in New York, but the guy who's not the gun store can't. You end up with that kind of trouble, So
yeah, and you don't want to be in that spot.
You don't want to be that guy. The ATF is not somebody you want to mess around with. That's my understanding. But
yeah, they like to shoot your dog.
They do like to shoot your dog.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, another thing when it comes to doing that sort of trade, remember, all trade is taxable. You have to pay taxes on your trades.
What?
So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. If somebody's going to be coming looking for taxes,
that was in the pre shit hits the fan world that we're talking about. After the shit hits the fan, then you just have to pay a tax to the Lord who's in charge of your region.
The Shogun.
The Shogun?
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to be the Lord.
Yeah.
You see?
There you go. Now, when it comes to trading, here's just a couple of tips there. When you're trading for something, know what the actual value of it is. It's going to make things a lot easier. Know what you're trading for. Know what you're trading away, and know the values for those sorts of things. When you're trading for work, have a fixed timetable of when that work's going to take place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep in mind that, having your wood split next spring is not the same as having your wood split, this fall. Be willing to walk away from a trade too. Don't get so committed that, that you have to have it and you end up giving away more than necessary to get something. Look for damage on the items that you're trading for, because you might be able to knock the price down a little bit. Something that's got a dent in it, doesn't look as pretty, and it still functions. Then that might be a helpful little thing there to have on your list there. And you want to make it easy for the person you're trading with. You know what I mean? You'll come to them, you'll pick it up. That makes people a lot more likely to be willing to be flexible with you. Right. And be charming. Be somebody that the person that is trading for you likes, Be nice. Be complimentary.
Be nice.
Give them compliments.
Really?
And, that goes a long way,
Is that why I've never been good at trading?
No, I'm an asshole, so I'm not good at it, that sort of thing. But, I can pretend to be nice for 10, 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, I just can't trade with people I know then. People that know me. They're like, that fucking guy. Nah, I don't think so. All right. And that's like, people think like even like trading a gun. If you were trading like a handgun now with, you had some extra ammo and things, whatever. Well, in your mind, or, I know somebody like was after like AR-15s. Well, an AR-15 that you put together for $400 now, might have the value of, we'll say $600 or $700, and ammo, being $1 a round, but you might have paid 20 cents a round when you bought it. Don't discount in your mind, well, I got it for this. You got to, like you were saying earlier, compare it to today's market. And this is what ammo is worth now. This is what people who can find that ammo, are paying. And it's hard to come by. And, ammo, I guess once it's used, it's a problem. But if you haven't shot it, it's still like new,
That's right.
So
that's right. And now just one of the main rules of thumb is with this sort of stuff, don't get shot with your own ammo.
That's a good
You
rule.
know, don't get shot with your own gun. Don't trade somebody a gun and then let them shoot you and take back what they had. You know, it's just basic
That's a
common
bad
sense.
deal in
But
trading.
keep that. Yeah, keep that in your mind.
All right. I don't know.
It's always embarrassing to get stabbed with your own knife.
Now, I was looking at a couple of barter posts in, I think, the Casual Prepper Facebook group or something like that, one of those. And they were listing, all the different things. And I was trying to get ideas and figure out whatever. And one of the young ladies was like, well, oral sex is the go-to, for trading. And I thought maybe that's a skill you could develop there. You could,
yeah, I am not sucking dick for coffee. I'll tell you that right now.
Just wanted to put that out there. Who knows? If you're interested in finding more about Kevin's thoughts on that, you can email him at preppingbadass@gmail.com. You want to continue this conversation on bartering, maybe head over to the Prepping Badass Facebook group and see if you can join the conversation. Otherwise, I would say stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
The Survival and Basic Badass podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.